been a long time coming, and I'm doing this with a lot of people that I've been bugging and I've been harassing, messaging, whatever it is. Before finally, I feel like I just got to twist someone's rubber arm, and then they finally like, you know what? Screw it. Let's get this over with.
Right.
It's like a Band-Aid. Rip it off. Just get it over with.
No, it's fun. This is just hanging out guy talk. This is good times. I don't know why it's so hard to get people. I mean, busy.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Between like everyone's scheduling, and obviously with my work schedule, it's impossible because when everyone's awake, I'm asleep, and vice versa. The only thing I will say is this is going to be the one live where I have to hold my phone because I forgot my phone to sleep. So most times I have a little stand that I'll have it there, and then I can kind of. Like I'm the kind of person that like I move my hands around a lot. I talk with my hands more or less.
Okay.
So now I have one hand holding the phone. I have one hand holding pen and paper. So this is going to be one of those videos where it's going to be like all over the damn place. No one's going to know what the hell's going. But it is what it is.
Cool.
It's the struggle. It's level.
We're struggling. Yep.
Good. Well, again, thanks a lot for doing this. I really appreciate this. So I got like a list of questions. I know I did bring up before about how maybe we can start a debate, but I might save that for another time. Because I feel that we like just like we kind of talked about before, is that if we had time to write down certain topics and bring them up, then we'd have be able to like argue for or against it. But because this is kind of like a second thing, I just didn't have enough time to think of something, let alone us figure it out what the hell we're going to talk about. So I'll just wing right into it. And now I don't know if you have any questions, but I got a list of like 9-10 questions that I was going to ask you. If you have anything you wanted to ask, I think it might be best, because this is what I've been trying to do, but it hasn't worked out, was if I ask a question, you can answer it. And then if you have a question, I'll answer, kind of go back and forth. I just feel like if I'm always asking the questions, then that's maybe putting it off until like last or later on for if you have anything you want to ask. Now, I've had a couple of people that if I ask them a question, they'll ask me the same question back. If you want to ask the same question, I don't care. But if you have your own questions, again, feel free to fire them back away. So I feel like this is going to be a stereotypical question, because anytime the new year comes around, it's not really necessarily a resolution, but do you have any goals for 2024?
Oh, honestly, the main goal I've been trying to have for like the last like few months, is I definitely just want to bulk up, get a better physique, be stronger, whatever the phrasing is. But eating is hard, man. Like, I gotta consume a lot, and that's been my main issue. So yeah, I just want to get the nutrition and the thing all figured out, but I can't eat a lot at all. But I have to if I want to gain anything. So like
that's funny, because I have the opposite problem. If I see food, my stomach's like, feed me. So I mean, if we can trade mentality or whatever it is,
appetite, just
there we go. I'd 100% be good for that.
Like, it sucks. So like, I always hear that where it's like that's the main argument. Where it's like, everyone's like, it's so easy to eat. It's like, I wish for me it was. That's the issue. Like, so that's mine. That's my main goal, is to get that figured out.
Seafood you wanted, but your stomach's like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, it's like, are you serious? It's like, you had a bowl of cereal. Do you want another one? No. Well, you should at your age and height and metabolism, but no. It's great.
So did you have anything you wanted to fire back this way, or?
Well, I was going to say, first of all, I will ask, what about you for New Year's resolutions?
See, me and New Year's resolutions are like me and a buffet of like veggies. It's nice, but I'm probably going to dip my hand into something else. I know one thing I would love to do, and obviously I got to have money to do it, but I would love to just get like a treadmill. I would love to be able to do that. And the only reason I say that is because because we moved from our old place to where we're at now, that was back in the summertime. but the apartment we were living at before, it had like a little mini gym inside of it. So I took it for granted. I only used it whenever I had, like, they had an elliptical. There was um, like a stationary bike, and then they had a
Mm,
treadmill, and then they had a little in the corner. There was like a little workout station, so you could like change the weights and like kind of like pull the weights or whatever it is. So it was
nice.
like a little workout room, and I only used it whenever I wanted to, more or less. So again, I just took it for granted because it was always
Yeah.
there, so I could use it. And the thing with that is, like, I know some places they're very picky about time wise, but I feel that with like the people that were like the supers of that building, they realized people worked different hours of the day and night, so it was literally open like 24 hours. You could go in
Oh,
whenever you
geez,
wanted.
nice.
So I used it. I don't know. I couldn't even count on my hand. I could probably count on my hands, honestly. Like, I only use it
Mm,
so often because it was just like, yeah, it's there, but I don't really want to do it right now. But
mm,
just like that old saying, you don't know what you missed till you don't have it. And then now that
mm,
we're in a new place, there's nothing here, just a regular apartment.
yeah.
And it was like, man, I would kill what I wouldn't do to like get at least one more try at that thing.
Oh,
So
100%.
so, like I said, if I ever had the opportunity, I'd 100% be down for that because I remember I didn't look this up, I swear,
Mm,
but I remember I was like watching this YouTube and this guy, he did like a compilation. I didn't watch the whole thing, but he's just like he lost like X amount of weight just running on a treadmill for like X amount of months or whatever it is.
mm,
Like I didn't see the whole entire process, but that's all I would want to do. Like I don't want to go join a gym because with me, and maybe I'm going to sound like any human being alive. I don't like people watching me. I don't like being
oh, yeah.
around people. Like I
Yeah.
want to avoid them as much as possible.
Mhm.
And then the other thing too is when I first moved out here was my brother-in-law and I, we joined the gym. It was over by like the dollar store, like by like over by like Safeway, whatever it is, like Giant Tiger.
Oh,
So
okay,
whatever,
yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking
whatever
about,
that place is there. So we joined that, and I went there for maybe the first couple of months, and it was so funny that when I first joined there, when I signed up, the girls like, you wouldn't believe the amount of people that sign up after, because like we just moved out, or I just moved out here after Christmas or by Christmas, whatever it was. So I
yeah.
joined after. It's like
Perfect
you wouldn't
timing.
believe the amount of people that join the gym after Christmas, and then they just don't show up after a certain while. And I was thinking, oh yeah, I can only imagine that. And then I ended up being one of those people.
It always sucks when you're like, "Yeah, those assholes." Oh, wait, I'm one of those assholes.
But they didn't care because I forgot to cancel it, so they kept taking it out of my account.
Oh,
And then at
no.
the end, I was like, I'm not going there. So I eventually canceled the account. So they
Yep.
stopped taking money out. But yeah,
Mm.
I was just in the back of my mind. I'm like, yep, I'm just like everybody else.
Yep. Oh, man, yeah. Obligations
Couldn't
for sure.
believe it.
Oh.
Yeah. But for me, I didn't have a vehicle when I came out here. So we were living on oh my God, what's that street in behind Bridgeport? And my
Okay,
screen
yep.
just went darker.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm not trying to set the mood here. My screen just shut off. But we had to walk from there to walk from there to the thing. And it was in the wintertime, so it's cold.
Oh,
And
shucks, yep.
I just kind of said, screw it. I don't want to do that. And again, if I had a brain, I would have just canceled and not avoided all the charges and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
yeah, I felt so bad about that. And then I'll say this other thing too that I felt kind of guilty about was I remember the last time I think I ever went to a barber, and then this is going to sound
Oh,
crazy. This has nothing to do with working out or exercising, but the last time I
yeah.
went to a barber was honestly, I'd have to say probably like 3, 4 years ago. Maybe it was even longer than that. I only had cash on me,
Mhm.
and I didn't ask ahead of time how much a haircut was because in the back of my mind I'm thinking I didn't want to get styled. I just want to get shaved because I
Yeah.
like having short hair.
Oh, yeah.
So my mindset was, okay, maybe if they shave my head, it'll be like 15, $60. I had $20 on me. So
Yep.
I was like, it's going to be like 15, $16. I'll give them like a $3, $4 tip. And this woman did everything to make sure I had like the best experience. Like, I'm sure if you've
Oh.
ever gotten a haircut that you always have like the hair in the back, whatever it is. Like every time anytime I cut my hair, I always have to take a shower because I always have hair all over my
Yeah.
body, whatever it is.
Always,
So this
yeah.
person, they had a hot towel. They did everything. They made sure there was nothing left, and they took
Oh,
their
yeah.
sweet ass time. And then I get to the counter. It came to $19.95. I gave them a
Oh.
5 cent tip. And I felt
Oh,
so bad. And then the
oh,
girl, she looked at me and she's like, "No, it's fine." But you could tell that, like, in her voice and in her tone, she was like not impressed
not
at
with
all.
it.
And it was the last time I ever went to a barber or any kind of hair shop. I'm like, I'm never doing this again because screw this. I felt so bad. I was just
Yep.
like, oh my God. And ever since that day, I bought my own razor and I just cut my own hair. So, I mean, I can give
Listen,
myself a 5 cent tip. I'm not going to get mad at
there
me.
you go. Yep, exactly. No, yeah, throw a dime, throw something, you're good to go. Like, honestly, I'd be the same way. Like, I give like the 5% tip. It's like the only thing I won't do is like if it's like donate to this charity or like to this dog. I'm like, nah, I got a dog at home. I'm a needy kid. Like any of that, nah. Like I got that. But if it's a tip, yeah, usually you give something to someone you can't. Jeez. So,
I mean, do you go to like a barber or something, or how do you do your hair?
I usually go to the Tommy Guns like right by where we work. So
Yeah,
like that's usually like by the end of it, it's about $50 for everything. But I usually that's when I have my hair like grown out. Like that was when it was like, long at like the shoulder. Like right now it's just cut and
yeah, yeah,
shaved. But yeah, no. That's pretty standard. It's like I think I give like a $10 tip, $15 tip depending on the person.
yeah,
If they don't talk, I don't. The one lady, like, barely said anything. It's like the one with 2 ladies I've talked to, it's like, "It's been great." Like, they actually have conversations. We talk about anything and
yeah.
everything. And then there's other ones where it's like, cut your hair, do this." Yep, yep, talking to other people around. I'm like, "You haven't even asked me how I'm doing today, but you have a great time." So,
I, I So when I was talking about when I got my haircut, so that I got
mhm.
that done just by like the Great Clips or whatever it is, like by the liquor store and the Pet
Okay,
Value.
yeah.
I've gone to Tommy Guns a few times, and I have that card where like they stamp it, and you're supposed to get like a
Yeah, yeah.
free haircut every once in a while. But again, I haven't been there in so long. I think I've only had my card stamped like 3 or 4 times, so I'd
Oh,
probably have
yeah,
to still
same.
go there 6 more times just to get a free haircut.
Right,
But anytime I've ever gone there, I always just kind of shoot the spit with whoever it is that's there. So
right.
it's I mean it's I'd rather like I'd rather talk to someone who's cutting my hair than say like a dentist. Well, you can't talk when you have because someone's working on your mouth, but
Oh,
like
they're still
it's so
talking.
awkward. Well, I'll get to the dentist here in just a
Yeah.
sec, but like if you're getting a haircut, if they're not talking to you, it's so awkward and so uncomfortable,
Mhm.
and it's just like, well, what do I say? They're cutting my hair. They're
Give
not
it the
talking. I'm not talking. It's just awkward silence. It's like a first date. It's just like, do I touch on this subject? Do I say,
Yeah.
oh, you got a hair place? That's nice.
Yeah, come here often? That kinda stuff, like yeah.
No, this is my first time actually.
Well, the one I
Um,
love is one I had one that said they were just about to quit, so that was, like, one of the best ones. They're like, "It's my last time." I'm like, "Oh, okay, great. Have a good time. Cool. Can't say if you had a good day or not. I mean, I guess not, but okay." Yeah.
is this haircut going to be good? Is it going to be
Yeah.
bad? It's the last day. What do they care?
So do you care? Do I need to leave a tip? Yeah.
I want to take that money back. Actually,
Yeah, right? Oh, wait, you're just gonna be finding a new job? Well, then I'll just this is consideration. It's uh,
so going back to the dentist thing. So
mhm.
there's a couple of different stories I got, and then I'll get back to the questions. I feel like I'm
Yep,
kind of lost track, but whatever. We're just shooting spit anyway.
exactly, that's
So I
cool.
remember when I was in high school, I I had braces, and
Mm,
that sucked. I hated every minute of it
yep.
because you can't eat anything because it sticks to inside of your like your
Oh,
metal
yeah.
piece, whatever it is. So there's two things that I remember from my high school, and then I'll get on to what happened not like probably like last year, a couple of years ago,
Oh, okay.
was the first time, one of the first times I went there. There was like they were getting ready to work on my mouth, and there was someone sitting next to me, and I didn't have any facial hair. It was just a clean. I couldn't grow any facial hair at that point in my life. And
That'd be
one of
weird.
the girls there, they asked me how old I was, and I was like, I'm 18. She's like, oh, I thought you were like in your 30s. and I just my mouth just dropped. I'm like, what? Like I'm clean shaven. I'm a heavy set guy. I'm not 30 years old. Like thanks. I really feel old now.
Yeah, feel mature.
And then one time I was getting my braces tightened because you had to go like every month or every couple of months to get them
Oh
tightened
yeah,
or whatever it was. And they told me specifically stay away from like hard food or like stuff like that because
popcorn,
you
all that.
break your
Yeah.
bracket off. And then the next day, I'm in high school and I had some change, and I was leaving, and there was a vending machine. And for some reason, I was in the mood for Skittles, and
Yeah.
that couldn't have gone over worse. And the very first Skittle I popped in my mouth broke the bracket right off. I'm like,
Oh
"Are you kidding
no.
me?" So I
Fuck.
had to schedule another appointment, go back there, and they asked me what happened. And then I told them, and they kind of like just shook their head. They're like, "We told you to avoid hard food. Like, what are you doing?" Like, so
The
I kind of
cravings.
felt
I'm
like an
sorry.
idiot at that point.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, braces. They suck. I have the permanent retainer still, so like
Oh, right there.
yeah. So I had braces on the top and bottom, but yeah, it sucked.
It's not fun. It's not fun at all. How
I
long
didn't
did
have
you
mine.
actually? What's that?
I didn't have mine on for long though. I think mine was only
No.
like couple years, like 2 or 3.
Oh, really?
So like
Damn,
yeah, I'm
that's
not.
lucky.
Yeah.
I think I started in junior high and got them taken off in high school, so that was a long time. And the
Yeah.
crazy thing is, I didn't even want to get braces in the first place. But if anyone ever sees me smile, all my teeth
Mhm.
are straight. And then one thing I didn't realize until I just recently went to the dentist, this was probably like a month or two ago,
Mhm.
was like the head guy, like they had someone like the one of the woman they've cleaned, they did it. It was a cleaning,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
the guy came in just to check, like inspector work and check it out. Everything was good. He asked me to bite on my back teeth. I can't. I didn't even know. No, I didn't even know that because like I can bite my front
Yeah.
easily, but I have a gap on the back of my mouth. I can't bite down, and I've tried like overbiting. I've tried underbiting. I can't do it. I didn't even know that. And then the
Oh.
guy's like, "Well, how do you? So you have a hard time chewing your food?" And then I just told him, "I'm like, well, I mean, if I'm chewing food, I have food in between my teeth, so I can chew it. But just to have my teeth like that, I can't.
Yeah.
Like my back teeth just don't touch at all. So I didn't even know that
That
until you asked me to do that. So
that's
that
weird.
was,
'Cause like every time
yeah.
I've gone to the dentist, they ask to do that, but it's weird that you didn't figure that out for that long. That's interesting.
Well, I mean, when I'm chewing food, I'm not thinking about are my teeth touching.
Right.
I'm just worried
I
about chewing my food.
I mean, it's like, yeah. Is
But
there, like, any issues with that or, like, it's just there's a gap?
no, I've never had any issues.
Yeah.
The only thing I know I had my wisdom teeth taken out. That was probably like
Mhm.
3 or 4 years ago, and that was painful. Like I've had teeth taken out before that. Like I think I've just been like I think when I was born, I was just overcrowded with teeth because I remember being in high school, and this is before. I think it was either before or after I had my braces because I know I didn't
Mhm.
have them at the time, and I had to get like a couple of teeth removed because my mouth was overcrowded.
Okay.
And I remember once the pain kicked in, I couldn't handle it. Like we had a couch, and I had nothing else to hit, so I was just like punching the cushions as hard
Oh,
as I could to try and
jeez.
take out my hanger. I was so
Oh.
in so much pain. And then when I got my wisdom teeth taken out, they had to freeze my gums because they took the top and the bottoms out.
Okay, yeah.
And for the first couple hours, I didn't feel anything. I was just numb. But
Mhm.
then once the numbing cream went away, man, like there's not a single painkiller in the world that could have like
Oh.
eased or helped out at all. And that was painful. I don't remember how long that lasted, but I do remember
Mhm.
going into work and like my mouth, it was just killing
Oh.
me for the longest time. Like there's certain pain tolerances I can deal with. Like if I get a
Yeah.
bump on my shoulder or if I hit my leg or something like that, that's fine. I don't care about that. But
Yeah.
when you get a pain in your mouth, there's nothing you can do to take that
Oh, yeah,
pain away.
it's awful. That's surprising though, because like I got my wisdom teeth out. I think I got 2 out before I got my braces on so that, they didn't have to worry about it taken out on with the braces on.
Right.
But when I got it, I saw the picture of the day I got back. I was all gauzed up, and I was on the, knockout gas, whatever. So I woke up hours later and I had no pain. Like it was,
That's crazy.
I was bloody. I was gauzed up. I was whatever. I looked like a like a like a car wreck, but it was not really much pain after that I can remember. So
That's that's
that's
good.
bad. So that's what I was gonna say. Like, did you get like knocked out for it, or like were you awake during the
No.
whole thing?
Anytime I've ever gone to the dentist to get any kind of work done to my teeth, they've always put a needle in there just to numb it, and
Oh,
it's
sweet.
instant. I'll give them props. Like it doesn't take long for it to numb. Because I remember when I
Yeah.
did it, I was like, okay, I felt the needle go in, and then maybe a minute or so after, like you're trying to move your mouth and
Yeah.
you're moving it, but you just can't feel it. So obviously they know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah. So that's the fact that it was that painful after. That no.
Yeah. Like I said, there's certain pain tolerances that I can deal with. Like if I get anything, if I get a headache, I just gotta pop a couple Advil in, take a nap, boom, gone. But
Yeah.
yeah, with mouth pain, man, like there's nothing that can take that pain away. Like you just
No.
got to deal with it until your body's just like, all right, we're good now.
Oh yeah. No. That's awful. Yeah, I can't.
Um, Yeah, no kidding, right? But that's in the past. It's fine. But
Yeah.
this is the last thing I'll say about the dentist. This way, I feel like we've talked about this for like way
Mhm.
too long. But anyway, it's all good. But
Oh yeah.
I remember the last time I went to the dentist. Like I used to go into Edmonton, but now I have a place. It's literally just down the road, and
Oh yeah.
I like
Nice.
them a lot better anyway. But I remember when I went into the dentist, and this is my mentality: is whether they give me glasses or not, I always close my eyes. I just don't
Mm.
like looking at people looking in my mouth. It's
Yep.
maybe it's a weird phobia. I don't know. So
Mhm.
the last time I went there, the girl that was in Edmonton, she's like, "Don't fall asleep." I'm like, "I'm not falling asleep." She's like, "No, no, open your eyes, keep your eyes open." And I'm like, "I don't want to. No, 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 don't fall asleep." And I'm just like, "Holy fuck!" Okay, so this
Yeah.
is the one time I kept my eyes open. Most uncomfortable feeling ever because I can't
Mhm.
talk when my mouth's open and they got stuff inside of there. I don't know, like they got the drill and they got everything else. So that
Yeah.
was the most probably uncomfortable visit I ever had from the dentist. So when I went to the one that's just down the road, I gave the girl a heads up. I'm like, I'm letting you know, I like to close my eyes whenever people work on my mouth. I've always done this since I've been a kid. I just
Mhm.
don't like looking at people working on my mouth. And then she gave me like some tinted glasses. So I don't even know if she could
Oh
see
nice.
through my eyes or through my glasses or not. But I kept my eyes closed the whole time. I told her, I was like, I'm not asleep. I'm not falling asleep.
Mhm.
How can anyone fall asleep when someone's working on your mouth?
Oh, I have. I'll be honest. I did once. It was a good time. I went to sleep, woke up, thing was done. It happens. I didn't bite anyone, so just
It
do it.
must be
Just
nice.
fall
Like
asleep.
I wish I could fall asleep, but the second my mouth is open and they got like stuff going in that way, this way,
Oh yeah.
it's just like no, it's not happening. But yeah, any time in the future, I'm just gonna if I go back to that same person, I'm just gonna be like, I'm giving you a heads up. I'm not falling
Mhm.
asleep. I just don't want to look at you while you're looking at me.
Maybe they just wanted to look at you, or they're just like, "No, you're gonna look at those eyes are real nice. I wanna look in those."
You got some nice hazel eyes.
Exactly, but,
Thank.
yeah, that kinda angle on it, I know, I like it.
So it's so funny that like the very next question I have,
Mhm.
and this is the first thing I noticed as soon as I had this video chat on, and I know we discussed this earlier, was if you had to choose between being a fan of Marvel or DC, what would you have? And ironically, you have a Marvel sweater on and you got a Marvel poster in behind. So I
Have
feel
you,
like I already answered that
you should see
question.
my whole room before you, answer that question because,
Yeah.
if you look next to it, you got the Flash, you got DC, you got DC, you may have the Shield. It's kinda just a little everywhere.
A little bit of everything.
So,
There you go.
honestly, I can go either way. I love
Either way.
a lot of characters from both, but I grew up a lot with DC. So, DC is, I would say, my favorite, but Marvel, I really like Spider-Man.
Well, there you go. You can't go wrong
That's
with
what I could
that.
say, yeah. It's like, yeah, for DC, it's like I love Batman. I like Nightwing, like a lot of the Bat characters. Those are all
Yep.
fantastic for me. I like
Yep.
the TV shows of like Green Arrow and stuff really made me love a lot of that stuff.
Yep.
But for Marvel, it's like other than the MCU and all that started bringing back everything, it was always Spider-Man. It was like Why do you like Marvel? Spider-Man. Do you know much about the X-Men? Not really. You know much about any of the Avengers stuff from the comics? Nah. What about Spider-Man? More than likely. I could probably answer some stuff.
You ask me any question, I got you. Don't worry about it. If it's a Jeopardy category, I'm kicking ass.
Oh, 100%. I love that kind of stuff. If it's Jeopardy about anything related, I'm good to go. So, like, yeah, I'm just a fanboy of both. I could go either way, but
Oh, that's good. I don't know if I probably brought this up before, but like I'm not like a super big fan of either. But like I'll watch a movie or I'll watch whatever it is. But the one thing I know I do like is those Telltale games. And honestly, it could be about anything. But like I think like the top three that I've like to play are like The Walking Dead. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
And then it's funny that they brought up the Batman because they have the 2 Batman games for that as well. And I found they were both fantastic. But my favorite of that whole Telltale thing, and I don't think it falls under any particular category. And I know I've showed you the trailer for like the second one that's supposed to come out sometime in this lifetime, but I don't think it is that Wolf Among Us game. I probably played through that like several times. And I love everything about that. But man, is it like dragging out? Like the game is supposed to come out 3 years ago, supposed to come out 2 years ago, supposed to come out last year, supposed to come out this year. It's supposed to come out sometime in 2024, but I haven't heard any news. I've gone on like their website. I've tried to gone on like their YouTube channel and stuff like that. Nothing. And then when this one guy who covers like the Telltale series, I think it's like Dom the Bomb or something like that. And like anytime he puts a video up, and it's like a catfish or like a thumbnail, and it's like okay, update, and I click on it and I get sucked in every time, and every time it says like, well, it's supposed to come out sometime. It's like, stop.
It's a new day doesn't mean it's an update. When they say something new.
Yeah, exactly. Give me some news. Stop putting it in your little thumbnail about, oh, the game's coming out, and then I click on it, it's like, well, it's supposed to come out, but the president of the company hasn't really said it's going to come out this year. And I guess like they've gone through like, and I don't know how the making of games, I don't know how that works. Like I'm sure it's a long process for any type of game, but I guess, and again, I'm so out of the loop when it comes to like technology, but I guess they've gone from like, oh god, I'd have to play the clip, but it's like an engine style or whatever it is. Like we've gone from like engine this to like engine that, and I guess they already started it, but then they had to restart it or something like that. So it's just like, holy cow! Like, just release the damn game, get it over with, because there's probably tons of fans. Because I remember when they had like it was at like the Game Awards from like 3 years ago. They had like just a small little clip, and you could see. Like the camera was just zooming out on the character, and then I was watching other YouTubers' reaction to that, and everyone was so hyped. So it's like I know I'm not the only fan of this,
right?
And then, like I said, since then they had that trailer that I remember showing you last year, but since then it's been nothing. And I guess like they were like so secretive, and they don't want to leak out a bunch of stuff because I think that they're like. They're just looking for like perfection. They don't want to like put out a crappy product, but it's just like do something in my lifetime. Like I'll be dead before this game even gets released.
That's what I can feel like sometimes. Like honestly, with games, like a lot of companies, like honestly, credit to Telltale, like with them going out of business, coming back, getting whatever, like they're struggling a bit. So like. But that game, it's been like what 4 years, pretty much. Like I said, like it was like 2020. It was like announced.
Well, when the first game when the first game came out, that was like over 10 years ago. So it's just like,
oh geez, yeah.
Do something, please, because if I load up the screen, I think it said like 2013 and 2014 because I think it came out, but because it's like episodic, they put it out like they release a new episode like every so often. I'm guessing that's what they're doing again because I didn't get the Expanse game, but I guess it was the same process. Was they had like the first episode come out this time, second, third, fourth, but that's behind us. And I remember at the start of last year, they're like, okay, this game is for sure coming out in 2023, which is the Expanse. And then they're like, the next project that they're still working on is that Wolf Among Us game. And I'm just like, when is this coming out? Like, God, this is Dragging on.
Oh man, because yeah, like I remember you showed me some of the gameplay of why can't I
Of that
remember what you
game.
just said? The Wolf Among Us, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. For some reason, I was I was like the Wolf of Wall Street. That's the movie. Why am I kept getting confused. Yeah, so the Wolf Among Us. But yeah, like the gameplay looked awesome and like the concept was freaking cool. Like about all the fairy tale creatures, but it's like a
Yeah,
gritty like noir cop drama detective like thing. Like that's just freaking cool. Like
yeah.
I might honestly have to give that first game a try when the next game says it's coming out, because then I can get
Yeah, exactly. Then you'll be prepared. Be like, okay, it's for sure coming out in this month. Oh, so I got a
yeah,
whole month to get caught up on all that.
exactly.
But I know, like I said, I played through that first one so many times, and like
Hmm.
I know when it comes to certain games, it's like you have to do this, and that's the outcome. That's it, and it's just like
Hmm.
okay. But whereas I like how you have choices, and like to me, this is going to sound so it's going to sound crazy, but I like games where like you're in control
Yeah.
of an outcome of or what a character is. It's like you're the director because you get to
Hmm.
choose where this person goes or what this person says. So it's like you're in the seat and they're doing what you want. So it's just like I
Yeah.
like how you can like how you like I said you have control about what can happen. Whereas most games, it's like you start here, you finish here. There's nothing else in between, which
Yeah.
is like
Exactly.
so I just like that kind of choice. And then before I move on to the next thing is
Mhm.
um, I thought this would be a pretty cool idea for like a TV series. I don't think it would work necessarily good for a movie, but
Okay.
imagine if a TV series, and I'm sure it's going to happen, but if you the viewer like we're able to choose what a character from a TV show does or says. Because if you watch any TV show, it's already directed, it's already produced.
Yep.
They say their lines, they go to here. But imagine if you had the choice, like they'd have to act out different scenes because if you had the choice of what they're going to
Hmm.
do, how neat would that be?
Okay. Honestly, with that in mind, have you watched Netflix's Bandersnatch, Black Mirror Bandersnatch?
I have not, no.
It is a choose your own adventure story through a movie that you watch kind of idea. So you get to pick out how the scene plays out. And there's so many different ways that it can end. And it's like a looping thing and it has like some random characters. It has a guy named Will Poulter in it.
Yeah,
He's been in like have you seen We're the Millers?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah.
Kenny.
Really?
Yeah, that guy, he's in it, he for a couple scenes and stuff, so he does some other stuff.
Oh
But yeah,
wow.
it's a trippy experience of like just going through because it's like it's a video game. Bandersnatch is a video game. So he's a video game developer. So
Oh
he's
wow.
doing this whole thing and then he unravels like this whole story within his family, like with his dad, and there's like I can't even remember the whole story, but it's like even like it's something as simple as like what he eats for breakfast. He goes through whatever. It goes to, like, fourth wall breaking stuff, like, where he's on a movie set or, like, they're filming the thing like, the show that you're controlling. Like, it
Yeah,
goes to all this mind fuckery stuff, so, like,
that's
I
nuts.
would recommend that, giving it a watch because it's kinda exactly what you said, like, you can pick your own little how it plays out.
That's so cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
if I'll have to give that a whirl. I know I'm gonna forget it, but like after we're done that, if you don't mind just sending me or like just write down what it is, and then yeah,
Okay, yep.
I'll give it a check out someday. But yeah,
Mhm.
I just thought of that idea because of obviously playing different games
Oh, yeah.
about how neat it would be to be able to choose what a character does, and I don't know. I just think that'd be so neat because like if you and I were to watch something,
Mhm.
um, you could have one experience. I could have a totally different one because you were like,
Oh,
man,
yeah.
my character did this or my guy got to do that. So it's like, whoa, my
Mhm.
person did this instead. So it's like you're bringing something, a whole new thing to the table,
Yep.
and it's I don't know. I just think it'd be the coolest thing. But like,
It
I'll,
would
I'll
be.
definitely, I guess I'll check out whatever that is. But I just think for
Yep.
companies moving forward, if you gave the customer or the us the option
Mhm.
for what how a show is going to be depicted, I just think that'd be so cool because
Oh, yeah.
they would have to, like I said, they'd have to act out everything because
Mhm.
you choose something and I choose something else. So I just think that would be the coolest thing for like a TV series to do something like that.
It would be awesome.
Um,
That's
yeah, no kidding. Now I wanted to ask you about this because I forgot all about this, but I remember when you were coming to work one day, and I think I was picking my wife up, or whatever it was, and you had these things on your shirt Were they stickers or buttons? I can't remember.
Oh, they were stickers. They're like
Right.
little patch sticker things that, yeah, you just they're like 25-cent things I got from the store, but the guy just, "Hey, you want all of them?" I'm like, "Okay, $17 for every." Okay, I'm taking. So
That's
yeah,
so neat, and it's all like different characters and stuff too, right?
yeah. Honestly, it's weird because it's like it's 90% like MCU characters, so like ones we've seen in movies and like have all been together, and then it'll
Yeah.
bring stuff in like it has like Gwenpool or Spider Gwen from like the comics and stuff. So it's like, but they were never in the MCU. They're in like the animated stuff from Sony,
Alternate, right?
and then it's like there's like Deadpool. Well, Deadpool wasn't in the MCU either. He's got his own thing. Okay, but there's also Venom. He was also in his own. So it's like, but there's also no who was it? Like there's some characters they didn't add from like the MCU. So it's like, why did you choose these
These
instead?
people instead of those.
Yeah. So they're
I'm
weird, but I
still gonna
like them
buy
still.
it, but I'm gonna be bitter.
Yeah, right. It's like why? Why these characters? Like you could have added like a Bucky. You could have added like something, but why not? So, but I like them. Like little personalized patches. It was quick and easy. So.
No, they're pretty neat. And I will say this too: is I've never gone into your locker because obviously whenever I'm there, whenever I go upstairs for break, it's just like whoever I have with me, and I just
Yeah.
think it'd be weird if I was going into somebody else's locker to get something because they'd probably be like, "What the hell is this guy doing?" Because his
Oh
name's not Brian, his name's whatever. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
so if you notice that I haven't touched any of them, there's a reason why. I mean,
Okay.
during the daytime, maybe a different story, but yeah, I just think if I only have like 5 or 6 people with me and they've never seen me go into a locker the entire year that I've been there doing our shift. So I think, yeah, maybe on my day off or something, I'll
Yeah.
consider it. But I remember when you first brought that up, I'm like, they know I don't have a locker because I never had a locker since I've been there.
Mhm.
So I'm sure if they were to go in there, they'd be like, they might not say anything, but they might look at me kind of funny. But yeah, like I said,
It's
maybe during the
okay.
daytime.
I will say on the bag I wrote, "If you want one, take one." So if you just hold that in
Okay.
front of everybody, they should know that like, "Oh, he told me that this is in his locker." It's like if anybody else wants one as well, they're just a fun little thing. So like, you have an excuse and you have evidence.
See, I'm
That's
not stealing.
exactly. It's like I got permission to grab these, but everyone
No,
looked pretty weird as well.
yeah, exactly. So that's why I said maybe on like a day off or something that if you're around wherever it is, then I'll
Mhm.
consider it. But I just think going to someone else's locker when, like I said, they've never seen me use a locker and I've never had a locker since I've been there. I just think
Mhm.
that would look a little strange. Now I know
Oh
you
yeah,
brought
fair.
this up at the start, but I just want to just double check. You said you have a hard time like eating a lot of food, but if you had to choose like one favorite meal, what would it be?
Oh, I always go for it. I love pulled pork. I don't know what it is about it, but, like, I remember at one point I went to a family dinner, like, we were just hanging out with some family. I had, like, 3 plates of just pulled pork. Like, we had there was supposed to be, like, sandwiches, so, like, the first time I had a sandwich, then I had another sandwich, and then I just had a plate of the pulled pork, and I was just like, "This is great. I love all of this." I don't know what it is, but that is, like, my go-to.
No kidding, right? I know when I went to a wedding back in August with my friend, and they had a truck, and it had a whole bunch of different things you could choose from, and
Mhm.
I ended up getting like the pulled pork sandwich.
Oh, nice.
Man, that was so good. It was so good. And
Right?
normally, someone like me could go up and have like go and have seconds because they like it was part of the meal. Like you didn't have to pay for it, but they're like if you want to have seconds, go ahead.
Mhm.
But like I was just so full after eating that one little sandwich, but it was so good, so good.
Nice. Oh. Yeah, it's something about it, like, oh, man.
There's a
Like, pulled pork,
Yeah, no
homemade.
kidding, right? It's really good. There's a place I only tried it once, but it's like a barbecue pit or something like that, right? Where I'm like, it's on like 50th Street. It's a fairly
Mhm.
newer area because like there's like the Taco Time. They got a new pizza joint, and then I can't remember what the place is called, but I know we had it one night. It wasn't cheap, but it was worth it.
Mhm.
It was really good, and you had like an assortment of different meats. I don't remember. I know pulled pork was one of them, but yeah, there's just
Okay.
something about that. It's just so good.
Right? Yeah. I will admit, like, I am definitely, like, a sweet savory type tooth persons. Like anything that's like just I don't know what the word is. Like anything like softer meats, like like hamburger, like pizza stuff, like just anything that's like a quick hand eat it, get in my mouth food. Yeah, I'm sucker. I'm done. That's
You're
it.
getting that.
Like any of that stuff is like you could probably win me over, and I'd pick that as the favorite on any day. Like I would pick nuggets. You could give me nuggets, pizza, anything. Yeah.
Yeah, anything that's simple and easy to eat. That'll make sense. Um, so if you had the option to go and see whether it was a live event or a live concert or anything like that, first of all, have you ever gone to see any? And if you
hmm
have, what have you gone to see?
I've gone to a couple. Main ones I can remember. I'm pretty sure it was for my sister. I went to a Hillary Duff concert. So I was too young to remember any of that, but I know I was there. So great times.
I still got the bracelet.
Yeah, I still got no. It was weird. I remember absolutely nothing other than my sister had a poster on her door for the longest time, and I was there. So good times, good times. The other one I remember was Nickelback. That one I remember, and that was a pretty eventful time. I have two stories from that are like just weird. No, the one is just kind of a normal story. One was like a thong was thrown up on stage or like a bra or whatever. So it's like, all right, somebody puts it on. So like they're dancing around, whatever, doing that. So I'm like, that was funny. That was my first experience. Um, the other one I'll get back to because it's a funny story. And then I went to see Jeff Dunham, the ventriloquist. He came to Edmonton, so we went as a family and saw him, and that was pretty awesome. Other sporting events, big events, nothing too huge, but those are like the main ones. What about
That's
you?
pretty good. I've gone to see I've gone to see a few sporting events, but the only concerts I've ever really gone to see, and it's only because I grew up listening to it, was like country. So I
Oh,
remember
nice.
I've gone to see a few different shows, and there's two things that stand out. Was I saw, and again I could spit out names. You might recognize me. You might be like, who the hell is that? Who are you talking
Maybe
about?
potentially.
But but Travis Tritt, I saw him twice. The first time we saw him, he just did a solo show, so he didn't have his bandmates with him,
Okay,
and
yeah.
we just did it. He just did it at a playhouse, so it wasn't it wasn't a big crowd,
Yeah.
maybe 100 people. Like it wasn't that big of a
Oh, it's
show,
okay. Like it
and
was big. Yeah, nice.
and and I remember when he was talking, he's like, if you guys like. It was pretty casual, but he's like, if you guys want to like get up and move your legs, dance around, go ahead. And nobody did, but then one guy did, and maybe he was like plastered when he got there, whatever it was, but he didn't say anything. He was just kind of moving around, just doing his own thing. And then someone came up and grabbed him, and I don't know if they kicked him out or put him back down. But I'm
What?
like, the guy even said, if you wanted to stand up and move around and dance, go
Oh,
ahead. Like that's the whole point.
jeez.
So I thought that was kind of strange. I'm like, again, maybe the guy was just too hammered, but he didn't bother me. He didn't say anything that, from what I
Yeah.
can remember. He was just getting
Oh,
up and moving around, doing his own little groove. He was in his own little world, just minding his own business. So I was just like, I thought that was kind of
that's
strange.
rough.
But I remember going to a concert in Nova Scotia, and there were four bands. And the first person I didn't even know sang, he's an actor. It's Kevin Costner. I didn't even
Oh,
know he
yeah.
had a
Okay.
band.
I didn't
But
know he had a band. Okay.
yeah, but he had I think I'd never heard of any of his songs, but we just listened to it, whatever it was. And I remember it was him, and then there was two other bands, and like the mic or the mic was kind of off because you could hear them, but it was very faint. And
Mm-hmm.
then Alan Jackson, he was like the main guy who was singing or doing but when he came on, of course they fixed the mic for him, and I do think
Yeah.
I remember from that show. There's two stories from that show. Was I remember when I got there. Again, I don't know why I thought this would be a good idea because I ended up getting heckled, but I was drinking, so I really didn't give a crap. But
Yeah.
I was wearing a Led Zeppelin t-shirt to a country concert. And anytime I went to go get drinks, it was always the same vendor. And then the
Mm-hmm.
guy's like, "Oh, here comes Led Zeppelin. Come and get some more drinks at a country concert." And like I said, at first it was annoying, but the more I started drinking, the more I just kind of went along with it. So
Yeah.
I think he kind of teased me a few more times after that. But I'm just in the back of my mind, I'm like, you idiot! Why didn't you just wear like a regular T-shirt? You're at a country concert. You're wearing a heavy metal T-shirt. Like, just not thinking at all. Um, that was pretty stupid. That was pretty stupid of me there. But the other thing that stands out was they had three different sections. It was because it was an outdoor event, so they had three different
Okay.
sections. The first one I think was like maybe like VIP. Then they had like basically your family section, and then there was like the drunk section. So you could
Okay.
pretty much two of the three sections. You had people that were probably plastered. Anyway, so we
Mhm.
were sitting there, and the only thing that was separating, like they had a little walkway in between each section, so
Okay,
like
yeah.
people can walk by or security can get in and out easy, whatever it is. And this one guy, so it was me and my wife were sitting here, and then I think we had one maybe a relative of ours, and then
Mm.
next of us there was another couple. We didn't know who they were, but they were just there watching the show. And this buddy was plastered, and he was trying to get over into our section. And the only thing that was separating like the walkway and us was like this I don't know what it is. It was maybe like a rope or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
And the guy's like he was trying to bug everybody, and he's like, "Hey, if I cross over, you're not going to tell anybody, are you?" And we're all like, "Buddy, like we don't want anything to do with you. Like
Yeah.
we don't know who you are. You're plastered. Like shut up." Anyway,
Yeah.
so no one was listening to him, and then finally the guy tried to climb over. He was so drunk he fell and smacked his face on the ground.
Mm.
Security was like maybe 5 feet from where we were, and they didn't have to run. The guy was just that plastered. They
Yo.
picked him up, kicked him out, but I'll never forget that. Like he was asking everybody, he's like, "Hey, if I cross, you're not gonna tell anybody, are you?" And just like, man,
We're
like
not gonna have to.
yeah, we don't have to. They already know you.
Right?
But yeah, that was the one thing that really stood out from that whole show, and I was just like, man, that's funny. But the one thing I will say as a side note was because I think my cousin went with us, or she drove us because she was DD,
Okay, yeah.
and we get there. I only had tickets for myself and my wife. I didn't have an extra ticket for her because when before we went there, because I was living in New Brunswick at the time,
Mhm.
so I ended up going on like Kijiji and I got these tickets secondhand. And the person that
Oh,
sold them only had two tickets, so it's not like I
dang.
had a bunch of tickets in advance. But they were pretty cheap. I'm not gonna lie. And for it was
Oh,
a
that's good.
weekend pass, but we only went for one of the shows or one of the day shows.
Yeah.
And she gets there and we're both asking like, "What are you gonna do?" She's like, "Oh, I'll get in. Don't worry, but you guys go." So we get in, we find our seating, and I don't know how much time passed, and all of a sudden she's right there next to us, and I was like, "How'd you get in?" She's like, "Don't worry about it."
That's awesome.
So she must have found a scalper or something, got like a cheaper ticket or something like that. But yeah, she found a way in. So
No, she just
um,
snuck in, just slipped into the crowd,
yeah,
stunt tactics, don't
just
trust her,
stuck under the fence. So
Mhm.
I just have a couple more questions. I gotta
Mhm.
go check on my laundry here in a sec. But
Yep.
have you ever traveled outside of Canada? And if so, where have you gone?
Okay, yep. Only twice, and to the same place in 2 different locations. Went to Disney World and went to Disneyland.
No
So
way.
Disney World, I went in 2009. That was for a grade 3 trip. My family just decided to go with some coworkers. The coworkers kind of funded it and just like, "Hey, we're going as like a fun little thing."
Ruby River.
Yeah, so we went. That was great, but my parents told us this. They were like, "We're going to this place in Denver. That's where we're going." They showed us like this resort, this da da da, all these fancy things. So for like the last week beforehand, we were like, "Oh, guys, we're going to Denver. We're going to this big thing, da da da." And then the day of, we're on the bus going out, and they reveal we're actually going to Disney World. So we're like, "We've been telling everyone we're going to like fucking Denver," and they're like, "Who the fuck are these people?" They're like, "Their big thing is a trip to Denver. Like, let's go." So that was great. And then the most recent time to Disneyland was I went with my buddy just last year in 2022. We were originally planning to go in 2020, but a certain pandemic hit.
Yeah,
So it got postponed and postponed, and then finally we got last year in about September, and that was for about a week, and it was a hell of a good time. So
that's pretty wicked. I just have a quick little question about that. So Disneyland and Disney World, that's two different places, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Disneyland is 2 parks. I can't remember the exact names, but it's like just a kind of a smaller area and not as much around. And then for Disney World, it's like a whole bunch of different like things combined. Like I don't know how much you know, but like Epcot, Animal Kingdom, like it's just a bunch of Disney parks all combined together. And then they also have like no, that's in Florida. No. By Disneyland they also have Orlando Studios. So that's like your Harry Potter, your big like worlds like that. So I'd say I liked Disney World better, but if I could have gone to Orlando, uh, like I can't remember the name. Universal Studios. That's what the place is called. So yeah,
Right.
Universal Studios I would have liked a lot more if I could have gone to that when at Disneyland. So
That's pretty cool. I may have
mm,
mentioned this before, but I got a pretty uh, interesting story about one of those two places. Was I
mm.
remember? I know it was in elementary school because when I was in elementary, I was living in Ontario at the time.
Oh,
So
okay.
I remember like my mom was doing like these dance competitions,
Oh,
and then
nice.
I guess one of the competitions happened to be either in Disneyland or Disney World, whatever it was. I
Mm.
just remember whoever her dancing partner was, they ended up taking a picture in front of like the castle or close to the castle, whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
And then while she was there, I was stuck being babysat by a friend's mom.
Oh, really? So you didn't get to go? You just had she was there? Oh, that would suck. That's bullshit.
You know, most kids they get like that T-shirt or something like that. I don't remember if I got anything honestly,
Oh,
but
really?
yeah, I've never been outside the country. That would have been my only time if I had the chance
Oh,
to leave
jeez.
to go. And my back of my mind, and even to this day, I'm thinking, man, what kind of a parent doesn't take
Right?
their kid
Who
to
doesn't
fucking
bring the kid there?
Disneyland?
Disneyland. That's like the one place you take any kid. Like, oh,
So if I ever have enough money, I got first I gotta get my passport. But if I ever have enough money, I would
mm,
100% like to take my kid because I know I mean she is growing up and she's turning into like a little teenager, but I'm sure it would be a fun and
mhm.
joyous experience.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, it was so funny because I remember I was talking to I can't remember who it was, but I think they left work or they whatever it was they
Mm.
whatever the situation was, and they told me they're like, "Hey, we just got back from Disneyland or something." Like, I got a funny story about that. So anytime anyone ever brings up Disneyland or Disney World, whatever it is, I'm like, hold on, let me tell you this story
It's great.
first.
You'll love it. It's fantastic. Best Disneyland
So
experience.
yeah, exactly. If you had the choice to go to see anywhere other than that, where would you want to go? And
Oh.
honestly, it doesn't even have to be in the States. Like if you wanted to travel anywhere in the world, what would you want to see or where would you want to go?
Oh, I have like a list of like the main places. Honestly, like any like movie set kind of places, like there's like people who like take photos of like, hey, this was this scene filmed in this location, so like they'll match up. So like if you're watching like a Spider-Man thing, it'll be like, well, here's where they filmed this scene, and they'll hold up a picture and it'll be like the same backdrop that'll match up. So it's like going to like Lord of the Rings places like New Zealand to be like this was the mountain that they climbed like when they were trekking across. Like visiting any of those or like video game locations of like Nassau for like pirates would be cool and for the Caribbean. I love Greece. I've always wanted to go to Greece. New York, big one. Venice. A lot of Italian, like European places. Anything exotic. America and Canada are getting too boring.
No kidding, right? I'm
Like,
sure they do have passes, but one thing I think would be so cool, and it's kind of funny that you brought up Europe, would be
mm,
if whether it was a boat cruise or any type of cruise that would take you from like one country to the next. I just think that'd be a very fun
oh
experience just
yeah.
to experience the culture and the environment and stuff like that because it'd be getting out of your norm.
Oh yeah, cruise. That would be awesome. Honestly, I think like even I heard this funny story thing about cruises is like some people are like, yeah, retirement homes are too expensive, so they just bought a whole bunch of cruise so that they could just cruise around the world for the rest of their lives basically as retirement. I'm like, that's genius. You just live on the sea, going everywhere. Like that's
Yeah, no
awesome.
kidding, right? That would be fantastic. That'd be
Oh
fun
yeah.
too. Just getting back to, and this has nothing to do with me, but something I just read about recently, and I think it may have been last week or whatever it was. But did you hear about that family? They bought like $10,000 worth of like they thought it was like stuff for like Disneyland or Disney World. Turns out it was like Disney Plus.
Oh wait, what?
They thought they were buying like a trip or something like that, or a bunch of stuff for like Disneyland or Disney World. Turns out they bought like $10,000 worth of like Disney Plus.
What the fuck? How do you make that mistake?
I don't know how that happened. I'm
Oh
sure. I'm
man.
sure it was corrected, but I do remember it made the news because I remember watching a clip from like a
Yeah.
YouTube thing, and they're like, "Yeah, there was a massive screw up because like they said this family they were trying to get a cruise or something like that for Disney, and then it turns out they bought like
Oh.
$10,000 with the Disney Plus. I'm like, well, that's gonna last them a lifetime.
Well, it's not like they're prepared. Like, what the fuck? Honestly, I was like,
But
is that just a new subscription? Like, holy fuck! Like 10,000 a month, good to go. Oh man.
now I can sit down and watch one full season of this.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, I could binge watch it for a month. Okay,
But
one
yeah, my,
thing
my
I've read.
first thought was
No, you
that.
go. You go.
You go first. You go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, just something I've thought that was funny was like there was this post where it was like weekend binge watching. It was like, recommended like 1,000 episode show. It's like you could totally get it done in a weekend. It would take 15 days to watch the entire series if you did not stop. It's like that's just a weekend watch. Like obviously you have the time for that.
Yeah, of course.
Man.
Still on season one.
Right.
This is kind of like an odd thing, and I'll get to what if I had the option. I'll tell you this, but if
Mm.
you had a dream vehicle, what would be your thing? Like if you had the money straight out just to buy something, what would you want to get?
Oh, my favorite I would go with the muscle car. That would be like my favorite brand. I love the 1970s Dodge Charger.
Well,
It's
that'd be
been
sick.
like my favorite car for like ever. I love the big boxy look. I love the way it sounds. It's Fast and Furious car, so like Dom's car. Now it's like one of the first movies I ever remember watching with my dad. I don't know why. It was just like one of the first ones, and that car was always my favorite looking thing ever. So that, or I love a certain supercar. I don't even know exactly, but just having one like a Challenger looking thing. I know it's not a supercar, but like I love the look of the Challenger. Even like a Bugatti, a McLaren. Those are just beautiful cars, but for
No kidding,
sure,
right?
the Charger and any classic cars honestly look beautiful.
Yeah, you really can't go wrong with that. And anything like that,
Right.
like what was that Charger Challenge or whatever it is, they'd be fantastic vehicles.
Yeah.
This is going to sound crazy because I know anyone that has a dream that dreams big or wants to get something. Like I said, that they could be a muscle car, it could be this, that, or the other
Mhm.
thing. I'm kind of simple when it comes to certain things, and the
Yes.
only reason I'm saying this is because I used to have two different styles of this vehicle. Like I've always been a Jeep person. I don't know why. I've just everyone has their specific
Mhm.
or they're like a certain vehicle type that they would want. Like if you're a Dodge person, you're going to want to drive a Dodge. If you're a Ford, you're going to want to
Yeah,
drive a Ford, et
exactly.
cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera. But I remember there was two. I had two. They were they were older vehicles, and
Mhm.
honestly, I feel that if you have an older vehicle, it's going to last you a long time. Whereas if you get something new nowadays, it could break down like
Mhm.
that in like
Oh
a month.
yeah.
And it's crazy how like they don't have make the same or make things the way they used to. I remember
Yep.
hearing that when I was younger. I'm like, oh, that's just old people being old. But like, no, it makes
It's
sense.
true. It's
But I
true.
had a
100%.
yeah, I had a '96 and a '97 Jeep Cherokee, and both
Ooh.
of them, man, I just loved it because one thing I used to do was I used to go mudding with them, and those things
Oh,
they could go,
nice.
go through anything. And but the one time, the one time it didn't work was a buddy of
No.
mine called me. I just got off work, and he called me. He was like, "Hey, I'm stuck. Is there any chance you can try to help me?" And I
Mhm.
was like, "Okay, well, where are you?" And he was like it's hard to explain because I know you're probably not too familiar with the East Coast, but like where
Yeah.
we were and where he was, it was maybe like half an hour apart, and it was by the airport, and there's like a dirt road you can take, but
Yeah.
I don't know if he just picked a really crappy road to go on or whatever it was, but he when he was like out far. Like it was, I couldn't even tell you how far he was off of this side road,
Oh
and
no.
yeah, when I got there, I could see like his truck because he had a truck, and I was like, "How am I going to get my little Jeep to pull this truck out?" And I had to be very careful going in there because there was like little ridges, and if you weren't careful enough, like your vehicle was going to tilt. So
Oh,
I had to
okay,
take my
yeah.
sweet time doing that. Again, I don't know how much time passed, but I know eventually we got him out. And then
Mhm.
on my way out, my vehicle
Oh,
got stuck in the ridge. And then when he tried to get me out, his vehicle got stuck yet
oh, fuck
again.
no.
And I'll never forget there was like three of us because he had a buddy with him. And I was like, I can't believe I got to be sober and we are stuck in the middle of nowhere. And I mean, I may have had phone reception, but I had like, who am I going to call? What am I going to do? So I just
Yeah.
remember I was pissed and it took forever for us to get out. Finally, he got someone else to come get him out. And
Mhm.
then they had to get me out. And I remember my vehicle, it was black, but by the time I left, it was brown, just coked or just caked in mud. And I'll never forget that. I had to go to get a car wash. And like the mud, like
Oh,
obviously, if you've ever had any mud on your vehicle, it gets hard pretty quick. So it took a long time to get that cleaned off.
yeah.
And to this day, like I haven't messaged him in a while, but like I'm sure if we ever talk, that's probably like the first thing that will probably come up. But like I was so mad, and I had plans that
Mhm.
night too.
Oh,
And like
no.
let's say again, I could be get the times all mixed up. Let's say he called me at like 5 or 6. I don't think we got out of there until like 10 o'clock.
Oh,
Like it
jeez.
was took forever.
Hours.
And yeah, I just remember when I got out, I'm like, I'm never doing this again. If you ever call and ask for help, the answer is going to be no because I'm not doing this
That's it.
again because I've wasted my whole
Too
evening
much.
when I had plans just to get your ass out of the place because you want to take your new truck go mudding and you got stuck. Not my
Oh,
fault. I
fuck.
didn't tell you to do that.
Mhm.
But with
Jeez. Oh,
but with
that's
that
rough.
being but with that being said, like I said, if I had a dream vehicle, I would love to have one of those two models again because, like I
Mhm.
said, they were rugged. They got me through anything. But the first one I bought it off a coworker,
Yeah.
and I mean, it wasn't in the best of shape. But I was just like, I just needed a vehicle because I didn't want to keep taking taxis to and from work.
Oh,
So
okay, yeah, yeah.
so I remember I don't know how much time passed, but it got to the point where it was like slowly turning in. It was getting worse by the day, and it got
Mhm.
to the point where I had a rod sticking out of my hood, and that's the only way I could open the hood of my trunk.
What?
Yeah, I had to pull that up just to lift the hood up because the latch broke or something. I don't know. Again, like I said, it
Oh,
wasn't
okay,
it
yeah.
wasn't in the best of shape when I bought it because it was like I said, the guy had it for X amount of years before he sold it to me.
Mhm.
And then the other thing was if I came to a complete stop, the thing would die just like that.
Oh, shit.
And I
What the fuck?
remember, yeah, I remember this just like it was yesterday. And I remember we were picking up a pizza or something like downtown, and I was creeping up to this light, and I'm like, and I was just like, I was looking at the other lights, and I was like, okay, if that turns red, I can slow down, and then once it turns, like once my light goes green, I can take off.
Yeah.
And then I'll never forget, I had to stop. I had no choice, and then I ended up having vehicles behind me, and I'm sure they were getting pissed. And I'm like
Mm.
trying to start it and rev it up and
Oh,
start it and
no.
rev it up, and finally I got it. The light just turned red, but I was already in the middle of the intersection, and I just boogied and I took
Oh,
off.
fuck.
Luckily, I didn't have a cop or anyone around me, but I'll
Mhm.
never forget that thing. It just had a hard time
Oh.
starting. Had a hard time. Like I said, if you came to a complete stop, good luck. So a lot of
Oh, yeah.
times, if I got to an intersection, I'd either have to turn right to make sure I kept going, and then turn back around just to keep going the way I wanted
Oh,
to go.
fuck.
So
That'd
I'll
be
never
fucking
forget.
fun.
And then at that point, I was like, okay, I got to find another vehicle. And then luckily, like where I worked, just down the road from where I worked, someone else had another a Jeep for sale. So I ended up taking whatever money I had saved up and then just bought that.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was a red '96 Cherokee. I'll never forget that. That was
Nice.
probably one of the worst. It was a great investment, but in the end, it turned out to be bad. And then I'll just say this as a quick little side note. I think aside from that, the worst vehicle I had because before I used to always just buy secondhand vehicles because I didn't want to make payments
Yeah.
on something that was going to be what twice as much as what it was actually worth. So I ended up getting a Saturn Ion. I don't know if you ever seen any of those cars, but
Okay.
it was an unusual vehicle. and the strange thing was the battery was in the trunk of the car.
Oh. Ooh.
And when I bought the car secondhand, the guy didn't tell me this, but I guess he had a key, like a spare key made for that car. I couldn't
Mhm.
remember if he lost it or whatever it was. So I'd say maybe once in a while,
Mm.
the engine wouldn't recognize the key and the
Oh,
vehicle wouldn't
no.
start. It wouldn't
Oh, what?
start. Yeah, it would not
Oh,
start because
shit.
it would basically say like the car doesn't recognize the key and it would not go over. And like it would even show like a key and a lock button. So it would not
Jesus
turn on at
Christ.
all. And I remember we were at a store. This is like back home,
Mm.
and it wouldn't go. We ended up both having to take a taxi to wherever we were at. So I like whatever businesses that were still open at that time. I'm
Yeah.
like, please don't like. I'm letting you know I have to come back in the morning because obviously I got to try to figure this car out. Like it's not going anywhere. Like please don't get this thing towed. I just can't start it.
Yeah.
So, because a lot of times if vehicles are just left there, they'll obviously get a tow truck to tow them away because
Yeah.
they don't want it on their in their parking lot. So there was like 2 or 3 different businesses that were still open at that night. I'm like, please, this is my vehicle. I have to come back in the morning. Please don't like get it towed. I don't want any of this bull crap. And
Yeah.
luckily, when I came back in the morning, I had to get a cab to go back there in the morning. It started in the morning, and I
Thank
think
God.
after that, I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm selling this car. I didn't get that much for it. It wasn't that it wasn't that good of a
Oh, yeah.
vehicle, but that was probably one of the worst secondhand vehicles I've ever bought, and I know I'll never buy another Saturn. I don't even know if Saturns even still exist, but I know I'll
Mhm.
never buy another Saturn, especially that model of vehicle ever again.
Oh, that just sounds stupid. Like, anything about that, like, why? I always find it weird when they have the batteries and stuff in the back, like the engines, battery, all that stuff, like, it's weird. Throws me off, like,
Yeah, yeah, getting a boost from your trunk is a little
yeah.
unusual.
And you're like, yeah, how is it like that's another thing about the technology about stuff nowadays too, is it's like, yeah, you can't access your vehicle because the computer doesn't work.
No,
Why? It's a computer. You should still be able to use a regular key, manual. This is why computers are stupid. Like I saw one thing where it was like a Ford vehicle was like, sorry, you can't drive because of a software update. You have to update the software to be able to drive. I'm like, so Ford could just be like, okay, new update. If you don't update, you can't drive. Sorry. Like, that's stupid.
you're lost.
Yeah, so that whole spare key thing throws me off. Like, um, but the key.
Yeah, I don't know how they got that key, where they got it, how it
Mhm.
happened. Maybe that's why they wanted to sell it in the first place. They're like, you know what, I don't want to do this. Let's have someone else have this headache. And then
Yep.
what was funny was when I ended up putting the car up for sale, the guy knew who I bought it from. So
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe I didn't hear anything back from him. So obviously they must have got it fixed or figured out whatever it was. But
Yeah,
I'm like, wow, that's just kind of a small world, huh?
right. That's weird, but jeez.
Yeah. So after that, I was like, you know what? And then I was like, I'll just deal with it. And then I ended up going to a dealership and being a sucker like everybody else. But
Mm. Hmm.
I mean, if I had the option now, I'd definitely go back to like a secondhand vehicle, only because like obviously we have people at the shop that we know, and I'm
Yeah.
sure was it Darwin or whatever it is
Yeah.
like I got his number, so he told me
Oh,
if I ever
sweet.
had any problems with anything. And my thing is that if you know a good mechanic and if they could take time out of your day and they go with you to look at vehicles, I think that would be even better because if
Right.
they know what they're doing and stuff like that. So it'd be like, okay, this might need a little tune up, but obviously he can cut me a deal, whatever the case may be
Right.
is. So I'd feel more comfortable having someone like with more knowledge than me. Because if
Oh
I just go
yeah.
to any Joe Blow and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll give you a couple $1,000, boom, just like
This
that,
looks
and then
great, and then
yeah,
yeah, this is bad. This is about to fall off. You didn't
then
notice
you
that
come to
this
find
was
out the engine has to be replaced or something.
right. Like exactly. Like you can't tell. Like I know nothing about cars myself, really. Like I can fix some stuff if needed. I've learned, but yeah,
That's
no.
about it.
So yeah, 100% agree about the mechanic.
Wicked.
Oh,
Well, Before I end this, did you have any questions you wanted to fire back this way? Because I think I'm all out of questions.
Oh, honestly, like a lot of the questions you came up with are pretty dang good. Um, what do I have? Well, I know you're a big sports guy, so like, what brought in about your love of sports and like which ones are you mostly into? Like anything, everything played any?
I've never played hockey. I've just been. I mean, maybe because I'm Canadian, I've just fell in love with the sport as soon as I watched it. I know
Yeah.
my dad always watched it growing up and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's just kind of like hereditary, just kind of runs in the family genetics.
Yeah.
And I didn't start like I only watch really hockey or like American football. Like I have
Yeah.
a hard time watching CFL because it's too much of a headache to me to follow. There's too many
Yeah.
weird rules, but. I didn't start following like American football until probably like the late '90s,
Mm-hmm.
and then since then I've been watching as often as I can. Like I can recall watching like every championship game, like I said, going
Oh,
back to like
nice.
2000. So I've been very passionate about both of those sports, and that's pretty much what I cover whenever I do my uploads on my channel. Is just
Okay. Yeah.
talking about hockey and football. So again, it's always been a passion of mine. I will say this as a side little thing was I remember when I moved to New Brunswick from Ontario, so I would have been in like grade six, and my family was talking me into like trying out different sports,
Yeah.
and like I did like basketball, I did soccer and stuff like that. That was okay, but I remember I did
Mhm.
football just for 1 year, and I couldn't figure that sport out to save my life. And I remember people telling me they're like, if you stick with it, you're gonna like it, you're gonna want to follow it. And in the back of my mind, I regret not keeping up with it or
Mm-hmm.
not going back to it. But I remember like there were times where like if I was on the defensive side, I could have easily hit someone that had the ball, but I didn't know how a
Yeah.
single thing about the game. But I can vaguely remember like standing
Uh-huh.
where I'm at and then like where my TV is, which is probably like 3 feet away from me. And
Yeah.
a guy was holding the ball and he's just standing there. I'm standing there looking like an idiot because I probably, looking back now, I probably could have grabbed him or took the ball away from him. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And
Yeah.
there was another time where they kicked the ball to us. It came towards me. I start going forward, and then they tried to take me down, but they couldn't. So the referee just blew the whistle. He's like, "Okay, you're not moving." So I'm like, "Okay, that's it." And then the one thing that stands out from my 1 year of playing it was the coach I had tried to see if I could hike him the ball. I
Mhm.
think he just wanted different people trying different things. And every
Yeah.
time I tried to hike it to him, it wasn't even close. And then I
Oh,
think at the end of it, he just kind of gave up. He's just like, "Okay, forget it. Don't worry. We're not going to do this." And
yeah.
then I don't know if everyone played one final game or if we were in a champ. Again, I didn't really follow the season because I didn't know anything about it. But
Yeah.
I know when we were pulling up to the last game, I remember telling like my mom, I'm like, I don't want to play. I have no interest. I don't want to do this. So I think she
Mhm.
just told the coach that he didn't want to play, whatever it was. So I'm sure the fan was probably upset because they wasted money on like equipment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I had no knowledge of football. I didn't know how to play it.
Mhm.
And I just remember I didn't know anything. Like if you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to enjoy it. You're going to be like, this
Right?
kind of sucks. Like this isn't fun. But again, looking back on it now, if I just stuck with it, maybe I would have maybe I would
Oh,
have
yeah.
loved it. But yeah,
You could have
I
done
just
great no matter
remember.
what. You've just been the wall.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what I'm doing. I'll just stand here and
Yep.
we'll see what happens. But
Right?
yeah, I just remember pulling up to that last game, and I'm like, I don't want to play. I even had my gear on and everything, but I remember just driving there the whole time. I'm like, I have no interest in
Mhm.
playing. And like I said, to this day, I
Right.
kind of wish I had stuck with it. But like I just finished saying, if you don't know what you're doing or you don't care,
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
you don't you're not gonna have an interest. Not gonna want to do it.
You like what you like. Exactly.
That's
So
just it.
that's cool. I like that. So interesting. The two sports. See, because like I know some people like Dawson who was like into like baseball and this and that, and like betting and all that, and everything and everywhere. It's like there's a lot. It's like I like the few things. So like I pay attention to a little bit of hockey. That's about it. So.
Yeah, and the thing with like betting, like I haven't bet on sports in forever, but I
Mhm.
remember they have these things. It's called a pro line, and what you could. It was very simple when I used to do it, but now it's so complicated. Was you just picked a winner, you picked a loser, and then if the team was unlikely to win,
Yeah.
you bet with them, you had a chance of making more money. But again, if
Yeah.
the team sucks, they're probably not going to win. but it would always give you like this crazy potential payout. Like say if you put in like $20 towards these tickets, you can make up to like almost $1,000
Oh shit. Okay.
betting
Yeah.
against that team. But again, the chances of them winning were very slim. That's why the bet was so high.
Yeah.
And I know I bought my fair share of tickets. The only time I ever won, again, I don't know how many games you have to play now because it's so more complicated, so much more complicated than it was, like I said, back then. But I
Yeah.
remember I bet on two teams, and I can't remember how much I paid for it, but I ended up getting $100. I'm like, that's not too bad.
Oh,
But
yeah.
then in the back of my mind, I'm like, I guarantee I spent more than $100 on tickets, so I didn't even break
Oh
even.
jeez. Oh jeez. Yeah, that's rough. Yeah, any of that gambling stuff I've never been a fan of. So when I hear about it, I'm like, good for you guys, but it's like
Yeah,
I know my luck. I got
that's
nothing. Everything I bet I would lose. It's all bad.
exactly. I'll just say this last thing. If we have any questions, we can obviously do this further on because I got to get ready here for work. But I'll say
Oh,
this
yeah.
one last thing is I remember I've gone to the casino a couple of times, and I remember I went to that Halifax casino with a buddy of mine,
Mm,
and I was feeling so confident because like I don't know, maybe I was drinking. I was drinking. I'm not gonna lie, I was
yeah.
drinking. Anyway, so I went to the slots and I was doing so well at the slots. I'm like, you know what? I want to test my luck somewhere else. So I tried to go play blackjack, and all of the tables were full. So all they had were just the machines that you could play.
Yeah.
So whatever money I won off the slots, I lost all in blackjack.
Oh no.
So
Oh
left
yeah.
that casino pretty bitter. I don't remember how my buddy did, but
Hmm.
yeah, I'm like that's the last time I went like full on hard. I've gone to the casino here with a couple of times, but
Yeah.
I mean I've only pumped in maybe like $20 or whatever it was, and then if I lose it, I lose it. Yeah, it's like whatever.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I can't be committed to doing that. Like I've seen people there probably spend hours
Right.
just playing machines. I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But
Hmm.
if I lose $20, I'm going to be pissed. So imagine how much more pissed I'm going to be if I lose $100. Like,
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's no. I went with 50 once to the casino, played blackjack for a bit. It's so funny when it's like your first time. It's because it's like people are like, "Are you really going to bet on that? Like, are you doing that?" I'm like, "It's 14. What do you mean? You can get 18 every time. You get like 16, 17. I'm gonna lose it if I don't. What do you?" And then I'm like, "No, you can get one." I'm like, "This is what I mean. Is it's like I'm just playing because I think." And they're like, "This dude's an idiot." I'm like, "That's not bad." So casinos are fun if you don't care, but yeah, those gamblers are a little too invested.
yeah, and I know like people always say that. Oh well, if you got to be committed, you got to do this. Like, well, you clearly have money to piss away. I don't. Like, I'm not going
Hmm.
to waste all my money. It's like, okay, it's either I spend all my money at the casino, and then I'm even more broke than what I was before,
Yep.
and then I have to go to like a goddamn like shelter and try to get some free food or something like that. Like,
Exactly. Like, no, I don't got enough to play. This is not play money. This is living money. I need to live
yeah,
with.
exactly. I got bills, man. Like, I can't be doing this. Like, the
Different
government will
kind
take
of
everything away
gambling.
from me. Exactly.
Am I gonna get the water? Am I gonna get the food? We'll see.
We're either going to be living like royalty after this, or we're going down to the shelter and we're getting ourselves a couple of cans of soup.
We'll see. I'm gonna bet it's head. Just betting on the outcome too. Fuck.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Wicked. Well, I honestly feel like probably could do this forever, but like I just finished saying, I got
No.
like an hour and I got to get going to work. So I really appreciate you taking the time out to doing this. And if we
Hey,
have time in the future to do more of these, like I said, I'd 100% be down for this if you are
oh,
as well.
100%. This was awesome. I mean, it's
Uh,
just talking shooting shit with the dude, so this is awesome.
That's fantastic.
Mhm.
So I think I mentioned this before was again, I have no control of when this thing gets updated. So if you
Mm.
wanted to tune back in, maybe check in like an hour or so.
Yep.
I honestly have no idea how long it takes to upload a live video. But if you go on my channel, it's not going to be under the video section. I think there's
Yep.
like a live button. If you press that, and then it should be like the very last one. I do have them
Mhm.
all separated in parts. So I think this is my
Oh, nice.
sixth video. So I'll
Okay,
label
cool.
this as like part six or something like that. So this way, if you do, like I said, you do want to tune into it, or if anyone wants to tune into it, feel free.
Cool, cool. Sounds good, man.
Awesome. Like I said, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to do
Mhm.
this, and we'll be in touch.
Happy to hang out, man.
Right on. Thanks
Okay.
a lot, man.
Cool, cool.
See
Bye.
you after. Bye.